They're taking some money from your paycheck and putting it in a trust fund to pay for your eventual retirement. And then you get a report. It actually comes every month once you start working that tells you how much you are going to receive. The employee pays half and your employer pays the other half. So up to a certain contribution limit, right? You pay like 6% and your employer pays like 6%. You both split the cost of it. They're matching your contribution to your retirement. And under the Social Security Act in 1965, President Lyndon Johnson, as part of his Great Society, created something additional called Medicare, which is basically health insurance for the aged, for old people, because people couldn't get insurance once they got old because they're no longer working, right? And so this is the way that elderly people get health care. And in addition to that, he also created Medicaid, which is a totally separate thing. Medicaid is actually funded half by the federal government through federal taxes and half by state governments. And Obamacare is a part of that process. Medicaid, which is a sort of partnership between your state and the federal government. That's separate. But let's just talk about Social Security itself. So what has our federal government been doing with Social Security over the years? Because that specific money that comes in goes into what's called the Social Security Trust Fund. And as of now, that trust fund has about $2.5 trillion sitting there, right? And because it's not part of the federal taxes that are taken in, it's a totally separate pot of money that's invested in like super safe things like bonds to make sure that, the money goes back to the people when they retire. Our federal government, our Congresses over the last several decades have been raiding the money. They've been borrowing money from the trust fund and using it to backstop spending that they want to do, including tax cuts. Remember, when you do a tax cut, you are essentially depriving the federal government of federal funds, particularly from the rich, the super rich, right? Which is the 2004 tax cut by George W. Bush and the 2017 tax cut by Donald Trump. Those tax cuts heavily favored the super rich. So it deprived the federal government of that money, but you still have to fund the government. You still have to run the government. Well, how do you think that you get the money if you've given away and given up that money? You're raided from Social Security. You borrow it and you just don't pay it back. That's one of the problems that we have in terms of Social Security. So what can you do about that? Well, there are a few things. The way Social Security works, as I said, is that you and your employer split the cost of taking a percentage of your paycheck to put in this trust fund. But there's a limit on how much of your paycheck they can take. And that limit goes up along with inflation. So if you look here, it's always 6.2%, but they change the limit on how much of your money can be subject to this FICA tax, if we want to call it a tax. The limit is only about $132,000. It's just over 130 grand, meaning that if you make $133,000, that additional $1,000 is not subject to FICA at all. If you make $300,000 or $500,000 or $1 million a year, you're still only getting FICA taken out on the first 130 some odd $1,000. They don't take it on all the money you make, just on that money up to that limit. And they take that same percentage rate all the time. So if you're saying that there's not enough money in Social Security to pay for the retirees who exist in this country right now, one way that you could change that is you could raise the cap. Another thing that contributes to Social Security are undocumented workers. If you are an immigrant worker with a green card and you work for a foreign company, you do not pay FICA. If you're a student, you don't pay FICA. But the people who are foreign-born workers, including undocumented workers, who work legitimate jobs, and there's a 90% worker participation rate among undocumented, particularly DACA. DACA people, they work. They're like 90+% of them work. When they get their paychecks, they also get FICA taken out, but they are not eligible to receive Social Security when they retire. So immigrants are actually keeping Social Security flush in a country that's got an aging population of domestically born people that are such a big group, boomers and, even aging Gen Xers are going to retire, and there's just not enough young people that are going into the workforce to pay the FICA to make sure that it keeps up, right, with the money that's needed. So in theory, the more people that you make legal, the more people will pay the FICA. And deporting lots and lots of immigrants will immediately drain the FICA trust fund, because those people will no longer be drawing paychecks and paying into the trust fund. Another thing that theoretically, if Congress, the Republican Congress, because this is all Republicans now,
Nom c'est Gilbert Foguet, nous 4 juin sur 954 667 48 45. I forgot this is the English version. My apology. Listen, you were listening to Joy Reid. She's a journalist from MSNBC that did a report on Social Security. And after carefully one night listening to what she had to say, the information that was coming out, I felt that it was necessary. We didn't play it, the full version, the entirety of what she was saying. We kind of like got cut off right where she was about to talk about the Republican that's about to take both House, the Senate, and also the presidency. So we've been talking about this, how the importance of immigrant is to our society, and especially in terms of retirement benefits. What's their contribution? So we wanted to start it with that. Listen, the line is open. If you have any questions, you could always call 954-667. Sorry. 305-945-1580. 305-945-1580. We're in the studio live in North Miami Beach. So the line is open for you who have questions. And all my viewers that's listening from Haiti, that's listening from Canada, my apology if when you reply while I'm on air, then I have not been able to respond to you. The system, we have not gotten that far where while you on YouTube and you responding to me on YouTube, and I'm unable to respond to you right away. So I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your subscribing. Keep doing that. Keep listening to this show, and we want to let you know that we appreciate you. No, so having said that, if we have to piggyback on what Joyce said, the information, and I've been listening to, well, I don't do much news lately, but it's someone that from time to time I would get something from her, and that's worth listening to or worth sharing. I will do that. And this part, when you hear a politician, they talk how the mass debt that Social Security has caused, the debt caused a huge deficit, and those are the things they talk about: Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And she did. I thought she did a great job in really give us the feedback, the history about Medicare, the history about Medicaid, and the history about retirement benefits. And to the point where she even come and tied in Obamacare into it. So we know that in terms of contribution to the deficit that we have, which is over $1 trillion, it has nothing to do with Social Security and Medicare, or even Medicaid, matter of fact. So when they're talking about what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, the word escaped me right now. So when they're talking about these benefits, entitlement, that's the word I was looking for. These benefits are entitlement, they're not entitlement. Because if you look up the word entitlement, it's the word tells you that the definition of an entitlement is that I have the right to. Is having the right to something. In this case, it's not a question you have the right. This is something that you contribute to with your own money, and your employer contributes 6%. You contribute 6%. So later on, you could retire. I can't say in a great way, but you could retire, at least have the confidence that you have something that's coming in. When I look back and when I started doing this back in 2006, well, the average people that was receiving Social Security was receiving about $600 to $700 a month, and we're talking about people in our community. We're not talking about as a whole. So as the years come, and that amount has increased, and due to the simple fact that if you look at the generation before, and mind you, I'm concentrating on basically South Florida because that's where I started. But the vast majority of people that's in South Florida, first of all, that came from, we're talking about the Haitian community. They weren't, when they started, they weren't making that much money. And even if I go to New York, because I know a little bit about New York, I was raised there. Well, in '72 when I came in, when I moved to the United States, I don't know how much the minimum wage was, but I know when I start working, minimum wage was about $1.25. So imagine $1.25 as a minimum wage, and they're taking what is it? 1.9% they're taking off of that for you. So, in terms later on, when you're ready to retire, you won't receive much, and especially if you came here with no education, and you were working in factory. Thank God for our parents, because what they did, they made the sacrifice to come up here. And they made the sacrifice to make sure that their children had a better education. The first generation after our parents came here didn't have it that good. Because I remember when it was time for me to go to college, I had to I sat down with a young lady to help me fill out for student loan. And I couldn't get student loan. So the vast majority of us, we had to work and go to school at the same time. So those of us that eventually that become something or created something out of nothing for our lives, they deserve to be the word escaped me once again. They deserve everything that they are getting. And so later on, as that generation educated themselves, and then the generation afterward came in with more education. So now you start seeing that the retirement benefits has increased to the point right now, this year, I believe this year the average retirement benefits is about $1,800. It's a long way from where it was 2006, 2007. So it is to be appreciated, and I think a lot of us, we have those that came before us. Can you imagine coming from Haiti, do not speak the language, do not have no clue of, first of all, the weather by itself. If you were in New York, the weather by itself, or Boston, or anywhere, the weather itself is a culture shock. So let me hear from you. Let me hear what you have to say about this. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. So this falls right into Medicare, Social Security, and benefits. Now, as I said, the line is open for you, but we're going to continue along the same line. Right before coming up here, I received a call from Margaret. You guys heard of him. He's usually come on Glenn Berry's show for a long time. But he had an interesting question for me, and I thought it's worthy to share with you guys. He has a client that's it's at the retirement age. It's at the age where they should be receiving their Medicare card. But however, there's a dilemma whether to go right or left. Yes, it's true, once you turn 65, you have 3 months before or 3 months after. I don't talk about the 3 months after. There's a reason why. Now, you've been paying into Social Security from the time you step in the United States, or if you are younger, from the time you were 15 years old or 16 years old, that's the legal age to work, and up till the time that you're 65. So you mean to tell me that they've been taking your money on time? Every time your paycheck comes in, before you receive your paycheck, they're already taking the amount that they should be taking. They're never late about taking their amount, but they're not late from taking the amount that they need to take from you. And you need to tell me that when it's time for you to receive your benefits, you're going to be late about receiving your benefits? Let me educate you guys a bit. When you sit down, that time comes for you to decide whether you're going to go with Medicare or you're going to continue taking the insurance that you have from your job. That decision is very simple. Actually, I'm going to help you make that decision. What you're going to do is very simply. You're going to take a white piece of paper. You're going to draw a line straight down the middle. On one side, you're going to write insurance from job. On the other side, you're going to write insurance from Medicare. You're going to find that from your job, you have a deductible. Now, the deductible, the way I could explain the deductible is very simple. It's like your car insurance policy. You have a deductible on that. So if you get in a crash and your car is damaged, needs to be fixed, and you take it to a place to repair the car for you, they're going to give you a quote. Let's say the quote is $5,000, and your deductible is $1,000. Well, the first $1,000 out of that $5,000 is going to come out of your pocket. So the insurance is going to pay $4,000. It makes no sense. Well, let's continue. Now, when you take in consideration the doctor's visit, because the doctor visit is part of your deductible. Now, until you reach the $1,000, every time you go to a doctor's visit, you're going to have to pay a portion. When you have lab, actually, the doctor at his office, one of his way of him making money is by simply charge you for doing the lab. Does that make sense? Well, it's business. We can't take it personal. So in that sense, it makes sense for the doctor because the lights, he has to keep the lights on, and so on and so forth. So if you have a diagnostic meaning X-rays, MRI, ultrasound, that has to be done. All that is coming it's coming out. A portion of it is coming out of your pocket, if not a greater portion. So when you add all this, plus let's not forget, every time you get paid, they get their money. Let's not forget about that part. So they're going to take a portion from your paycheck every time you get paycheck. When you add all that, let's say, for example, well, no, we'll throw an amount there. When you take all that in consideration, whatever the amount it gives you, because it varies from each person, you take that amount and compare it with what you're paying for Medicare. Now, with Medicare, when you put a Medicare Advantage plan on it, the Medicare Advantage plan does not cost you anything. Now, for the Part B premium, it's $185. We're going to put that one aside as if it is an expense. So you're paying $185 per month. Let's say, for example, you're not taking the retirement benefit yet. You're going to wait till when you reach 67, because most of us right now, that's our full retirement age. So what's going to happen now, when you go to the doctor, you're not paying a dime. You go to a specialist, you'll be on a plan that you're not paying a dime. Your lab, when you come to the clinic, they'll do your lab, draw your blood, send it to one of the laboratories, whether it's Quest, whether it's, what's the other one? Quest and LabCorp, and they send back the result. You do not see a bill. They send you to a diagnostic center for an MRI, for an X-ray, for whatever an ultrasound. You don't pay anything. So far, we're already ahead because we're talking about $185 a month, and on the other side, we don't know how much you pay. It at the end of the day end up with, but you started already with a deductible. As you started behind the 8 ball. So now you're only paying $185 a month. You could visit the doctor as much as possible for that month. They're only taking $185 from you. Here's the better part. Remember, if you're making less than, right now I'm going to say $1,600, then the state of Florida will pay the premium for the Part B for you. Again, let me repeat it. The state of Florida will pay the $185 a month for you. How do we go about making sure that happens? It's very simple. What we do is an application we send to Department of Children and Family to let them know that, one, let's stay with this scenario. One, your income is $3,200 a month. So what and you're not receiving, you're not taking your Social Security benefits yet. So Social Security, Medicaid is going to consider 50% of what you are, 50% of what you're receiving. 50% of what you're receiving. We have a 50% of what you're receiving. So, in effect, that they are going to consider 1,600. That's the limit. 1,600. Once they take 1,600 into consideration, you are eligible to receive the Q1. Q1 of Medicaid only pays for the Part B premium, which is the $185. So anyway you cut it, you're better off with dealing with Medicare. Margaret, if you're listening, I thank you for calling me today. Because most of the time I'm coming on air, if I tell you I have a clue what I'm going to talk about, I'll be lying to you. It's normally is because that someone called with a situation that they're facing, and I feel like, well, this is something we should be discussing. So you see, when you call to ask me a question, you give me fire, you give me energy. So when I get behind the mic, that fire, that energy comes out. Because I do not believe that anyone at this stage should be, as the Bible says, that is perished because of lack of knowledge. At least we've done our share. We've done our part. And I say we because, yes, it is me that you see in front of the camera, behind the mic. But there's a lot of other people that come into play, and that's very underneath that you don't see, that's able to help me look good when I come on via YouTube and Facebook. So I thank them. They're part of that we family that helped this show to be what it is. So to get back, 65 is an important year, an important age for you. Let's not talk about 3 months after. The 3 months after come just because you know, as for information, but we are talking about 3 months prior. You want to do it 3 months prior because you want to have all your ducks in a row so that the first day of the month when you're supposed to be eligible, you have your Medicare Advantage in place, you have your doctor's visit in place. Because when we take, most of us, I say us, or I'll just say most of you guys, because lately I've been going to my doctor's visit on a regular basis. But when you take, especially the guys tend not to go see their doctor on a regular basis. So when you get in your 60s, all of a sudden, you go to the doctor and they do a lab and they find out your PSA level is extremely high. So now they have to consider, do you have prostate cancer? Do they have to, can they control the prostate by giving you medication? Or do they have to do a more aggressive step, take a more aggressive step? Or when they check to see, you'll find out that your sugar level, the A1C level is extremely high, then they have to take that into consideration, the medication for diabetes that they're gonna prescribe you. Or if they check for your blood pressure, the blood pressure is through the roof. So to prevent you from getting a stroke, they got to put you on the medication. So we are going through all that. So, and not, I don't want to fail to mention even for those of you who, before turning 65, you didn't even have a colonoscopy. So those are the things to consider when you talk about 3 months before. It's not only for you to run and get your benefits started, but especially if you're behind the 8 ball, you want to make sure that, that 3 months before, if I have not been keeping up, now this is the time for me to do it. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. Let me hear from you. Let me hear from you. So we want to make sure that every one of you that's listening right now, that you are getting the right information. We want to make sure that when you get on the air, that you are getting the right information, but also you are sharing the information. Now, I took the liberty of putting and by the way, Joy Reid, this information she posted on I believe it was IG, Instagram, and you could go on and listen it yourself. You could go on there and listen to her. Put Joy Reid, and you'll see. If you're familiar with her on MSNBC, you'll see everything that she had posted. And this information is worthy for you guys to know, because they said information is power. So this is the type of information that we like to share with you guys. Information that's vetted, information that we know that's going to transform your life, because if you know the step that you had to take, because a lot of us, when we see the check, it's a FICA, we don't know what FICA is. We know there's a money that's coming off, but we don't know anything about it. And on top of it, when people are just spreading information that is inaccurate, you have to be in a position of knowing what's right or what's wrong. I often say to you guys that in South Florida, we have the best Medicare Advantage plan. I think Social Security, along with Medicare and Medicaid, work by far the best in this state. And maybe that's why we have a vast majority of seniors. Right now, you have about 10,000 people that is applying for retirement benefits a day. That's why I don't fight. I don't fight to get patients. I don't fight for it, because if you have 10,000 people that's applying for benefits per day, then I'm sure I could get a small percent of that 10,000 and still continue to grow. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. Let me hear from you. 305-945-1580. It's good to hear from you. I know maybe the phone is not working properly, but because I don't see, maybe I don't know, but let me hear from you. Anyway, now let me take the short time to wish every single one of you that's on air, that's via Facebook and Facebook and YouTube Live. By the way, if you're listening to me and you want to get this show live every time that I'm on the air, this year I promise to make an effort to be live every Wednesday if we could do it, and hopefully we're going to work to see if we could do it more on the days that we're on the air, so that yes, we have it live on Facebook and YouTube, maybe 4 or 5 days a week. We're gonna work towards that. That's one of my New Year resolution. But for now, what you could do is go to WSRF 1580 AM. Put that on the search bar on both YouTube or Facebook. Then you could subscribe, and we'll make sure that every week that you get the show every time that we're on the air. And that way you could share it with a friend, share it with a family member. This show right now that you're listening to right now, I think is one of the top, because you get information about history of Social Security, so you could have a better appreciation of for it. And so when you get misinformation from politicians, then you know that, hey, your money is not Social Security benefits and Medicare and Medicaid. It's not entitlement. So I started to wish you guys a happy new year. Wishing you guys all the best. Every one of the listeners that's listening and that's seeing us via YouTube or Facebook, welcome. And we wish you guys all the best. And as usual, every year that we wish you longevity and health. One of the things that we're going to continue to do to our programming is that continue to bring you the type of information that's is going to help you stay healthy, and possibly, if you have longevity in your DNA, if that's what God's wish for you, that long life you're going to live, but you're going to live a quality of life. Okay, so we thank you for over the years for being there with us every time we're on the air, and when you see us, let us know how much you appreciate the information that we bring, and we're going to do our best to stay true to ourselves, to you, and we hope that you're going to also help us keep us responsible, hold our feet to the fire, so that we could continue to bring you accurate information, the right information, the one that you need to hear. We will always stay within our lane, and continue to educate you about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. If you have any question, you could always call me at 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. And we'll take your question. We'll answer your question. And if you want to come and see me in person, that's fine as well. So for you guys in Broward, it's 4300 West Broward Boulevard and Plantation. So the door is wide open for you. There's no reason why that the right information that you need, that you don't have access to it. So we're going to make sure that you have the right access to the information. Okay? So remember, 3 months before, that's the time that you should apply for retirement benefits. 3 months before. We're just starting the year, but there's some people that didn't cross over to make it with us for the year. But this information that I'm about to give you for the few minutes that we have left, I'm going to talk a little bit about retirement. Survival benefits. And this, for some reason, I am concentrating to the young people who has not reached the age of 60 or 62. It is very unfortunate to lose a loved one at an early age. And after you lose that person, and now there's an income that is lost in the process. But if that parent have worked for a minimum of 10 years in their lives, then they would be able to leave something behind for you, for their children, for their spouse. We want to let you know, without going too much in detail because we don't have much time left, we want to let you know that survival benefit, it's a real thing. It's a real thing that you'll have access to that funds once you have a spouse, a father, a mother passed. Then by simply go to Social Security office, apply for what we call survival benefits. Social Security will take that information and process it. And the child will receive an amount every month up until the age of 16, or if they continue in school, up until the age of 18. The spouse also, if their income doesn't exceed a certain amount, will also receive survival benefits as well. Now, there's the other aspect that comes into play. We won't get into them because we have roughly about 8 minutes left. In terms who's entitled to receive it, who's not entitled to receive it. Actually, so the survival benefits, they have more lenient with the survival benefits than anything else, than the other benefits, because it tells you that a parent that was dependent on a child is entitled for survival benefits, and it's 100% that they are getting. And for a spouse that's at a later age of 60 to 62, they could start receiving survival benefits. So it's a real thing. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. We're going to continue to talk about that because we feel that it's very important. Very, very, very important for you guys to be aware of that and share it. Because if you have someone that's going through an ordeal like this at the present moment, the best thing that you could do is supply that information to them. Share that information with them. So when that happened, then we keep talking about we do this, we'll get a blessing. Well, we hope. I'm hoping that by you sharing it, yes, you will get a blessing. You're going to make somebody's life that was heading in the wrong direction, and now you're going to help them feel better. You're going to help them, at least they may not be able to replace the lost person, but they'll be able to replace a portion of their income. And the dream that they've had for their children, they'll be able to accomplish that to a certain extent. Because all parents, their dream is to make their child a better version of them. Did I say? I'm even shocked by this, the way it came out. But yeah, that's a real honest truth. That you want to make your child a better version of you. And so when they're no longer around, then the survival benefits will help them accomplish that dream to a certain amount. I want to touch, since I have about another 4 minutes left, I want to touch about SSI. Every one of you should be receiving, the maximum for SSI this year is $967. That's the maximum you could receive. You've already, if you were on SSI before, you've already received a letter that the increase that you will be receiving 2.5%. Not only for SSI, but for retirement benefits, for survival benefits, for disability benefit, for spousal benefits, for child care benefits, all of that was increased by 2.5, and starting this month, you will see a reflection of that in your paycheck. So, but SSI itself, remember, Yes, it's good when you receive the money, but also don't make the error of having to pay back. What you want to do is what you want to do is starting to prepare yourself so that you don't make the mistake. For example, they tell you that you won't be able to work if you're getting SSI. Let's put that out there. Because the minute that you surpass the 967, then they're going to reduce your money. And if you go to another country, or Haiti, for example, and stay there for an extended period of time, which is over 30 days, then you're going to have to pay it back. So try and avoid these mistakes. Try avoid those mistakes, because if you weren't aware, that's one thing. But now that you are aware of it, then do your best so that you not return any money at this time. Follow the regulation that's placed there so that you do not have to pay any penalty. Know the rules. And if you're not sure about something, you could always call me on 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. I'll be happy to take your call, to answer your call, to put you in a better direction. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you are able to prosper, even with the small amount that it is, and you find a certain amount of income that's coming in. Let me tell you that it was a pleasure for me to be here with you, the English version of the show. My name is Gilbert Franklin. You could always reach me again, 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. Now, I know I had promised you guys that Tom Griffith will be with us today. Unfortunately, we didn't get in contact with him ahead of time, and we weren't able to get in contact. But we're going to try to get him in future days so that we could really talk about the importance of the exercise, the importance of the physical therapy, everything that we have right now available to you at the CAMEX Medical Center and Plantation. And a lot of you guys have received letters. Contact me, and then we'll discuss that. Whether it's from Social Security, whether it's from CAMEX, give me a call, and we'll discuss the nature of that. Okay? Once again, it was a pleasure. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and stay tuned. We'll talk real soon.